Mercedes car for 2023 looks insane, and we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So don't forget to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes F1 content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that red button down below. But let's get into the first story, talking about the 2023 F1 car for Mercedes, because it is looking absolutely insane and there is a big upgrades coming to it. So the Brackley-based squad has endured a tricky campaign with its W13, which has suffered badly from porpoising and not delivering enough performance to match Red Bull and Ferrari. The team's chances of making a swift recovery has been further hampered by the cost cap, which means it could afford to make changes to its current challenger in season that it knows would have made it quicker. But with budgets being reset for next year and the team now having a much greater grasp of where the W13 is lacking, Mercedes is optimistic of the level of progress it will make with its W14. Asked by motorsport.com, where Mercedes is with its understanding of the 2023 team car, boss Toto Wolff said to turn the ship in the industry is a little bit like an oil tanker. First, you have to understand what the root cause is for your non-performance, and then you have to peel the various skins off. What's the first layer? What's the second? And we're really on top of all the questions. And the answer is no, we are not. But I think a big chunk of performance that we are missing have been discovered. It's not something we can change this year, it's decisions that we've made over the next year. But I'm 100% confident to say here next year we will be fighting for the World Championship. The aim, the expectation is, but there's still work to do. And I absolutely love to hear this because, as you all know, Ferrari and Red Bull, when it comes to their performance of the car, has been on a different level. And I think Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, if next year they have a great car, can definitely fight for the championship, both in constructors and also driving's championship. Now, Mercedes come close to its second pole position of the season in Singapore, as Lewis Hamilton missed out on the top spot at Marina Bay on Saturday by 0.054 seconds. But despite being in the fight at the front, Wolff played down the performance as a sign of team progress and instead suggested the result was simply the result of driving brilliance from Hamilton. This was his place, and I think it was not easy to drive at that. This said Wolff. It's been difficult all year, so I find myself always thinking, we fought for pole position, that's good, but we are used to it in the past years. But as a matter of fact, I think he just outdrove the car. It was on the knife of the edge, and I think if he puts the lap together that we are on pole. But I think we can be very satisfied with that performance. It is one of the tracks that, as for our simulations said, it should suit us more. Apart from the bumps, and that was exactly the comments of the driver, that the ride is really bad, the car was too stiff. But the aero seems to work in the bandwidth, so we're looking better than many other circuits. So I think this is really interesting to talk about, because when it comes to what they have achieved and what they are continuing to do to this car, it is definitely looking up for a great future ahead. So we actually had the first look at Mercedes United States Grand Prix upgrade ahead of tests of F1 2023. So we actually saw this where Mercedes have brought their last major upgrade featuring aerodynamic parts and weight-saving items to Austin, as the team switches focus onto learning of the F1 2023 following a difficult and so far winless season. Now, they did pretty well in the Austin Grand Prix, and I think they could have definitely gotten a better performance. However, I think with everything that is going on, 2023 is the new focus. Lewis Hamilton at one point in the Grand Prix was actually leading the race. However, he was overtaken by Verstappen due to the fact that Verstappen's car is a little bit faster. But I think it is fantastic to see on what Mercedes have been doing for the 2023 season, because they have found a big chunk of performance and they're going to continue to push the boundaries. Now, getting into the second story and the next story, we're talking about Lewis Hamilton, who warns F1 rival Max Verstappen that he's still here and he will take Mercedes back to the top. Lewis Hamilton has sent a message to F1 rival Max Verstappen, as Verstappen fought back from a slow pit stop to deny Hamilton his first win of F1 2022 with a late overtake to clinch victory in a thrilling United States Grand Prix. Hamilton managed to stick with Verstappen, who led the race until a wheel gun failure resulted in an 11-second pit stop on lap 35, dropping him behind Hamilton and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. Verstappen used fresher medium tires to charge past Leclerc before he chased down Hamilton and made the race-winning pass on lap 51. I think what I'll take from today is that we had a good pace, Hamilton told Sky Sports. I'm still here, and I know that with Mercedes, the build of the car, that it will take it to the top. So we've just got to keep working. Hamilton praised his Mercedes team for bringing upgrades that helped him challenge for his first win since 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but acknowledged his car still holds a significant deficit to the RB18 in a straight line, ultimately leaving him powerless to keep Verstappen at bay. And this is something I definitely think a lot of you should take into account. When it comes to Verstappen's driving, it hasn't changed much. What definitely has changed is the car. Verstappen is a great driver, don't get me wrong, but his car is definitely overpowered to someone like Mercedes' car, and obviously you see the difference in the way Verstappen, even though he had a pit stop mistake, was able to make up places very, very quick and very efficiently. So the 7-time world champion continues to say a big thank you to the team and everyone back at the factory who was working hard. We came here with upgrades. They worked so hard to bring those upgrades in, and it really had an effect. We were closer today, so I'm really proud of everybody. Now, the only sad thing about this is that Lewis Hamilton's streak of winning at least one Grand Prix every single season may come to an end, and he is close to beating the actual record. So it is going to be tough to see that. Obviously, there is no more upgrades coming to Mercedes for this season, and they will be focusing on next year, which I think is definitely more important, but it is sad to see Hamilton's record may not be able to keep alive. I'm sorry I couldn't get the win. I gave it absolutely everything. Obviously, we were in that lead, and I could see he was closing a second a lap, and I couldn't really answer for it in a while. He came from so far back on the straight. I think they're like 10 kilometers faster than us normally on the straight anyway. And at the end of the straight, my mirrors are vibrating so much, I couldn't see where it was difficult to defend. After outscoring Ferrari in Austin, Mercedes are 53 points adrift of second place in the Constructors' Championship with 3 races remaining. Asked what it means to be able to fight for a win and a second place in the Constructors after such a difficult season, Hamilton said, "I can't put into words how much it would mean to the team, especially with everything that has gone on and everything that happened in the last race last year. That's what happened this year in terms of our performance and what's happening with all the news and everything. To get a win would be a huge triumph for us all and hugely rewarding." So this is fantastic to see, and I think it is great to see Hamilton have such a positive outlook when it comes to this race and what is to come. Now, on top of this, the next story I wanted to get into was actually George Russell, with his F1's Mr. Consistent, is focusing on all the positives. So it's early September and George Russell is in the peak out of chill mode. He's taking full advantage of an unexpected break in the F1 calendar to hang out with his family and loved home from Norfolk, where he was born and bred. Today though, he's been down in London for a photo shoot with Belstaff. When I mentioned my grandparents used to live in King's Line, he rises slightly from his chair and his eyes lit up. So I think it's great to see what George Russell has been able to do over the past couple of seasons and also this season with Mercedes. He said, "My grandparents had a shop in Wisbech called Ellis Discounts. Hoping I might know it, their surname was Els, so their slogan was 'Who else but Els?' It was a bit cheesy, but I liked it." It's clear that family is always and will be extremely important to Russell. He recently posted a photo of his parents who are visiting the Mercedes AMG HQ for the first time, and they've been a huge part of my journey from the very beginning, he wrote. "This is the career to date, a proper family effort along the way." When Russell first started go-karting at a young age, his father Steve would act as his mechanic while his mother Allison used to record all of Russell's setups and lap times in a green notepad. "I always try to represent myself in the best light possible," he says, "and the people who I represent as well, Mercedes, all the team partners, but also my family, my girlfriend, and my friends." So I think it is honestly fantastic to see what Russell has been doing for this season, and he's done some really great things and something that have surprised a lot of people. So I think that is fantastic to see from him. So the next story I want to get into was Lewis Hamilton believes that a temperature drop between final practice and qualifying contributed to Mercedes lap times falling away from pace setters such as Red Bull and Ferrari. After showing early promise, Hamilton and Mercedes ended up as the best of the rest during the grid deciding session. Almost 6/10 of the pole sitter Carlos Sainz, the other Ferrari of Charles Leclerc and Red Bull's Max Verstappen. Hamilton will however be promoted to a third on the grid, with teammate George Russell joining him on the second row following the application of engine related penalties from Leclerc and Sergio Perez. Reflecting on the gap to the front, Hamilton said, "I thought we were closer. If I'm really honest, my laps weren't great. I really struggled with the car in this session. I think it's a temperature drop. The P3 was around 30 to 40 degrees, then it was like 6 degrees, 7 degrees cooler. It's really changed up the car. It was really a handful." So little things like this can definitely play a huge part, and a lot of people don't really realize that. Russell referenced the upgrade Mercedes brought to the Circuit of the Americas and expressed hope that the team will put up stronger performance on race day, pointing to several unknowns after the part of the Friday practice was set aside for 2023 tire testing. Asked if Mercedes' qualifying session was representative, Russell said, "I'm not too sure, to be honest. We obviously bought a couple of updates. I guess we all hope for a little bit more, but when you take the season as an average, we probably qualified better than average." And I definitely completely agree with that. I think with what they have done so far this season, with all the problems that they have faced, they have done a fantastic job to be able to turn it around. When you look at our gap on the midfield as a percentage, the gap ahead to the gap behind, we're probably the furthest away we've been from them since Zandvoort and Budapest. So there are some positives to take away. It's sort of rare that as a driver you go into the weekend more excited about the race and qualifying, because qualifying is where the car is alive and you're going as fast as possible. But I'm definitely really excited because I think is going to give us a lot of opportunities, lots of pit stops, and a lot of unknowns. That's good news for us. So I think it's honestly fantastic to see what they have completely done over this past couple of seasons, and especially this season where they have turned it around and really tried their best to stay afloat. But like we mentioned in this video, 2023 is definitely where you're going to have to watch out for Mercedes, because they are coming out firing, and they are definitely going to have a drivers championship and also constructors in their sights. So excited, and stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Peace.